Hello, everybody. Another big warm welcome to our event tonight. Today, it is Sketch and Tech Circus collaborating once again together for the third time. We are doing our event today about can data and ethics live together? It's going to be a lovely, interesting presentation once again. The last one we did about research was hugely popular. I'm going to go through the platform for people that haven't been on this before. And then we'll do some intro slides about Tech Circus. So first off, I want to just make sure everyone understands how to use the platform. The first thing is we have our chat room. I can see lots of activity in there already. But if you haven't already wrote in there, please tell us where you're calling in from tonight, which country and which city you are based. Next to the chat room, we have our LinkedIn. My LinkedIn's there. It's under Luke Reed. You can share your LinkedIn if you want to connect with more people in the industry. And finally, we've got our Share Useful Resources tab. Last week, we had a few people drop some of their own resources outside of what the speakers are talking about and presenting. So if you've got anything that you want to share, you can put it straight in here. Okay, it's great to see everybody. There we go. We've got some people commenting where they are coming from tonight. Now, if you're going to ignore this whole opening talk, but there's one thing you're going to take home from it, this is the thing, and I really need your help. There's a Q&A section here, and in the Q&A section, we are putting our questions. Luke is just writing his question in there now, and I will put that in. And if you could give it the thumbs up to say that you have seen that question. There was a little bit of a lag between us and the attendees, but if you could put the thumbs up on it, just to show that you can see that question. In the Q&A section. Amazing. Some people are managing it. Yep, it's going up. Great. Okay, a few people are grasping this. Now, the next thing I need to know is throughout this whole event, I need your help. We need questions. We need to ask questions throughout the event. So any questions that you have, please put it in our Q&A tab. It's vitally important if we're going to have an engaging, immersive event with the community tonight. So if you get any questions from Matteo, put them in there. At the end of his talk, I will come on and I will answer those questions. The ones that get upvoted the most will be the ones that go to the top and will get asked by myself. Next to that, you have the poll section, and here we see the results of some of the polls that Matteo might put out later on tonight. And that's everything from the platform point of view. Just a bit about Tech Circus. We're an events company. We're established in 2015 on a rainy night in Revolutions Bar in London. It was a little meetup called the UX Crunch. It grew into a global phenomenon with events everywhere. And then the pandemic came and hit us in the face. We decided to carry on online, and here we are today. And now we are actually moving back to physical events, but we've had 27,000 people join us for online events. And we've actually grown our team. So we've got a even bigger global audience than we've ever had before. So it's actually strange how hard times and challenging times turn into great opportunities. Now, you can follow us on social media. We are on Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Discord. I'm going to pop up a quick little pop-up thing which should talk to you about, should direct you in the way of our UX community. So this is really important tonight, actually, because we're going to be announcing the winners of our competition, which are here. So basically, we have tonight a really great offer. We're going to be giving away 5 Sketch swag boxes and up to 5 free Sketch licenses. So if you join this Discord and you jump in there, or any of our social media that I went through before, any of these, you'll be able to see who the winners of those bags are. You don't have to do anything, just turning up tonight guarantees your entry into that competition. And let's see if you're lucky enough to win one of these brilliant swag boxes or free licenses, which will be up for grabs. Okay, so that's enough from me. Thanks very much for listening. We've had 3 amazing events from Sketch. You can watch them all on demand on our website, techcircus.io. I'm going to now hand over to our speaker of this evening. So Matteo, would you like to put your camera on? Hi, Matteo. How are you doing?
Hi, everyone. Nice to see you. My printer just started, so I got a lot of noise now. I'm sorry for that.
No worries. I thought it was the air conditioning for a second.
Nice thing to be live.
Good stuff. Okay.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. It's nice to see you again. I hope this evening you will enjoy this presentation. And yeah, I'm open to a lot of questions after that. To me, it's a very important topic. So please feel free to intervene, to ask. The more interactive this session will be, the better.
Over to you, Matteo.
So I'm going to share my screen. See you later.
Bye-bye.
I'm going to share my screen. Share. Okay, you should be able to see my screen now. So, hi everyone. I'm Matteo Gratton, a design advocate at Sketch. I've been in Sketch for nearly 1 year now. And I'm very passionate about this topic because I really believe that we are not talking enough about, and we are even not thinking enough about data and how we can manage them ethically. And as designers, this is something that is very important to take into consideration all the time. But just before starting, I'd love to thank X Tech Circus for having us and my entire team and company to let me be here in front of you just as the face of Sketch. Just before starting the presentation, I want to ask you, and I'm starting a poll now, about how strict you are about sharing your data. Because, yeah, I really want to know if you even always, at any time, thought about them, if it is important for you, if it's something that you take into consideration when you are surfing the web, you are installing an app, or even when you are working. This is something that, okay, a lot of people are very careful with what they are sharing, which is good. It's very good to me. I let the poll go for other 20, 30 seconds, then I'm going to stop it. Well, yeah, thank you for that. I'm super happy to see so many people careful with what they are sharing. And also, I'm super happy that no one never thought about what they are sharing. That's very good. The second question that I'm doing at the beginning, I mean, just doing it now because I know that I will forget later, is about this one. Which kind of messaging app do you mainly use, if you use any? I would love to know it as well. One Telegram, WhatsApp, a lot of WhatsApps, Signal, Messenger. Okay, you will know, you will see because why this is important for me later on in the presentation. So a lot of people are using WhatsApp. I let the poll open so we can see it again later on. Perfect. So let's start. So in my presentation, I will use a few quotes from Seneca. I don't know how many of you knows him, but he was like a philosopher in the Roman Empire, and he is probably the philosopher of ethics. And I don't want to bother you too much with philosophy today, but I think that some of those quotes are very important for the presentation. And no man is good by accident. Virtues have to be learned. I think is something that really resonates with us as designers. We always are looking for something more, something new, and how we can improve and how we can make something better for us, for our users. And yeah, in the end, this talk is all about trying to learn something, to start to think about something, etc. So I really think that this was a very good quote to start with. So nowadays, we live in a world of data. Everything is based on data, in the digital world in particular. But also we will see something that is not only the digital world, because even physical interaction in some ways will generate some digital data. And we generate data all the time. We are manipulating our, I don't know, laptop, our mobile phone. Like this morning, I went to a shop and I had to start from point A. and I had to go to point B because I didn't know where the shop was. And I asked my mobile application, the navigation app, and I had to share my GPS position. And I also had to share where I wanted to go. And the mobile application actually stored all this data. The app stored when I was starting, when I arrived, all the time schedule, my timestamps, the road I did, and everything that I followed to go to the shop. And actually, in probably 1 month from now, or even a few days from now, I will not remember I were in that shop. But the app will remember it forever. And yeah, so we are generating data all the time. And data is important, but they have a lot of complexity, because in order to this tool, in this case, the map application, to work, this app needs data. And all our products, the products that we're working on, the service we're working on as designers, needs data in order to work. But this data also includes customer personal information. And we have to be very careful about what we are storing, because storing data leads to a privacy problem, because the data that we are storing are personal, and we have to store them with security. They are part of our user. They are part of what we are. Again, the map application know that I was in that shop today, and I will not remember it, but the map application will remember it forever. And it also opens something about the right to be forgotten, if you want, because we as human beings, until now, were able to forget things. Now everything is stored and remembered, and we will always remember things that maybe we don't want to remember, or other people can remember things about us that we want them to remember, etc., etc. So we have to be very careful on what we are sharing and what we are storing. And the problem is, as soon as we start to ask ourselves about ethical use of data, are we storing data ethically? Are we storing the right data? Are we storing what we actually need? Are we storing more? Are we storing less? Are we sharing data in the proper way? Are we sharing with the right person and the right people, the right users? And as soon as we start to ask these questions to ourselves, it starts to be crazy, and everything seems to be impossible to be under control and to be managed in an easy way. And actually, this is a paradox that we are into every day and all day long. And this quote is something that I really believe is really applied to data, because a sword never kills anybody, but it is a tool in the killer's hands. And this is particularly important with data. Data by themselves don't harm anyone. They exist. The problem is how we are using them, how we are managing them, manipulating them, sharing them, selling them, etc., etc. There are many ways we can harm someone using their data. If you never read the book from Mike Monteiro, Ruined by Design, I kindly suggest to read it, because it opens our designers' eyes, and not only designers, if you want, to the fact that it happened many times that we don't think about, okay, this is just an edge case, I don't care about, because it is like 1% of my users that will be affected by that. That is not a too important feature, etc., etc. So we can change it without thinking too much. But maybe we are sharing, because we are changing the way we are sharing things. We are sharing something that is very important for someone else. And actually, there are people that committed suicide because their data were shared in a different way than before, without their control, without they knowing it in advance, and someone discovered about them something that they didn't want to share. So be careful on what we are sharing and how we are managing data is something that is important, because again, in this case, we are the killers. We can become the killers, or even not the killers, someone that is harming someone else, and we don't want it to happen. So before going forward, I just want to ask, I'm running another poll, and this is about how many times are talking about your work, product, service, data policies, and how to apply them when you are working in your daily basis with your product, with your services, etc. Oh, I like that. At least someone feels it as a priority. Of course, not all the tools and all the services are storing data, so someone maybe can also never think about it. Okay, there is quite a variety of things. Also, someone that never thought about it, and yeah, okay, and the last poll for the evening, I promised no others, is how do you feel with your product work with data policies? It is, have you got a good feeling, a bad feeling with it? And yeah, I'm just curious about it as well. You're feeling not very comfortable. Oh, we have 3 times not very comfortable. There is something wrong in the poll. I'm sorry for that. It could be better. There is something wrong here. There should, the A one has to be, I feel very comfortable. I'm sorry. I copy paste something in a wrong way. Okay, so let's carry on with our presentation. So as designers, we can decide, also because we want to sit at the right table. As usual, as designer, we are always talking, oh, I want to sit in the right table when the decisions are taken, etc., etc. And what we can decide about this is what data is required and what data is shared. This is something that we can have at least a voice about. We can at least raise our hands about and say, oh, I think about what we are storing, and I believe that what we are storing is too much or is too less. We can have part on the decision, about what our service or tool or website, etc., is storing. So the next part of the presentation will be about a few examples of things that I feel a bit weird. A big disclaimer here, I am not here to point my finger against any company or any product. I'm using them as examples because I feel that it is important just to think about it. So the first example is something that many times we are not thinking about when we are designing things, but like with design ops, and finally we are thinking that we can also design the hiring process. And when we are designing the hiring process, then we are generating an application system. We can decide what are we asking to who's applying for a job. And to me, it doesn't make any sense to ask for the sexual orientation of the candidate. But this is something we can design. Are we hiring someone for the sexual orientation, for the gender, for the color of the skin, or are we hiring someone for their skills, for what they can bring up to our company, to our team, and to our product and service, etc., the expertise they have? I really believe that this is an area that we are forgetting many times. We are following some very old procedures many times. There are also actually, luckily, countries where something like that is forbidden. by the law. Like here in the UK, we are quite lucky. It is not possible to ask for the sexual orientation when we are applying for a job, but it is happening somewhere else in the world. I am Italian, and I can tell you that it is happening in Italy. And actually, many times they are also asking for a picture of yourself when you will have to apply. Not telling any more about that. Anything more about that. The next example is a series of tools that are actually doing the same thing. And now you will see why I asked you for a poll before. So it is about what data is collected by a few applications that just do one thing: sharing messages or video calls or audio calls between people. And so I'm very happy. I'm actually in love with this first application that I'm presenting, because it is not requiring any data to me. Nothing is linked to me. And when I install the app, this is all what I have to do: install the app and start using it. But the app is not storing and linking anything with me. With the second one, I'm still pretty happy, because, yeah, I can understand why a service like that is requiring me my contact information and my contacts, because they are trying to help me to stay in contact with my friends, helping me to contacting them, helping me to understand if they are part of the system and the service, etc., etc. And they are trying to simplify the communication, but still there are not too many information that they are requiring. With the next one, I'm starting to be very uncomfortable with, because why, in order to be able to have a conversation with friends, with a group of friends, or a video call with them, I need to share my purchases, my financial information. I can understand about data usage. Maybe they want to analyze a few things, but maybe they can also ask if they want to track me about that. My location, why they need my location, maybe because they want to, I don't know, place me in contact with closer friends that are close to me by GPS location. I never found this opportunity on this tool, so I don't know. But the next one actually is something that blows my mind. They are requiring me everything. Actually, health and fitness. They are requiring me to share the health and fitness information about myself in order to be able to write a message to some friend. They are asking me my financial information. They are asking my browsing history. They are asking my search history. Actually, they're asking so many things that there is an area here that is, I cannot point the finger because you cannot see the screen behind me, but other data. They actually have an extra thing that is other data, and we don't even know what they are because it's too much. I think we have to be careful when we are designing our application, asking the right things, because it is quite unbelievable that this fourth app and the first one are actually doing the same job, making calls, sharing text messages, and sharing also video and audio calls. The next example is something that is very common and actually is a dark pattern. And if you don't know anything about dark patterns, please have a look in the surf the web about it, because there are a lot of articles, blog posts, even books about them. And this is something that we have to take into consideration when we are designing. But in this case, we are activating a free trial, and my credit card is required in order to activate a free trial. Personally, it happened to me in the past that I activated a free trial and I put my credit card information there. And the problem is that I signed up for that service with my old company email address. After a few months, actually, I believe that nearly in the same month, I left that company. What happened is that, of course, my email address was closed and I didn't receive any email anymore. And I completely forgot that I subscribed to that free trial, and also they had my credit card. After 3 years, just because I was analyzing any single detail of my expenses via credit card, I realized that for 3 years I was paying something like $50 a year or more. I don't remember exactly how much, for a service I never used. I was not even able to log in anymore. And actually, I was not even able to close my account because I didn't have my email. So I had to spend a few days. I had to contact my old company. They luckily agreed to turn my old email account on again just for me for a few days in a very controlled way. And I was able to close the account, and then they closed the email address again. But this is just because I was lucky. We were in very good connection with them as well, and still, and I was able to close my account. But sometimes it could be very difficult and hard to do something like that. So do we really need to ask the credit card information when we are activating a free trial? Sometimes it is impossible not to do it because maybe the system, how it's built, do not permit to subscribe to a free trial with a credit card. Of course, we should find we should raise our hand saying that this is our partner, etc., and we should find ways to change how the system works if it's possible, or to make as clear as possible for the users how it will work, to make a lot of to create a lot of messages, and also maybe some redundancy in the way they can deactivate the free trial if they don't want to stay there. This example here, and again, it is not to point my finger against a company or a tool, in this case Hotjar, but actually, as a UX designer, I used Hotjar in the past a lot, and I really found it useful. My question here is, do we really need to track what our users are doing all the time? So this is a screenshot. I'm using a script. I'm using Firefox. I'm using a script that permits me to block JavaScript, and I'm blocking what I think that I want to block. It is quite annoying from a user perspective because I have to activate and deactivate things manually all the time. But to me, it feels that I'm more in control of what I am sharing. The problem is Hotjar could be a very useful tool, but because it is always active on this website, I actually deactivate it all the time. So I'm not sharing my information with the company that is producing that and managing that website, and I'm not helping them to even enhance it or to make it better or more usable. Maybe we can think on different ways on tracking users instead of just doing that because we can. And we can think, oh, we can gain a bit more trust if we are telling our users, oh, in the next month, I will track you in this area of the system because we really want to improve the performances, improve your experience in using it. Are you in for that? Do you want to be tracked for the next month? I promise you that after a month, we are not going to track you, and we're actually going to inform you that the day we are stopping to track you. I believe that the 99.9% of the users will approve this because everyone, me too, I want to have a better user experience when I'm using that web service or that tool or that web page, e-commerce, or whatever it is. So we should think more about, and again, Hotjar can be anything else, and it is not the tool itself. The problem is how we are using it. This is something that is always active. I tested this website for more than 1 year, and in the entire year, Hotjar was always active. I hope that there was nowhere, actually, I don't know if you know what Hotjar does, but in some ways he tracks in a very, very short story, he tracks also the mouse and how you interact with the website. I don't believe that for an entire year, there will be someone that every day and all the time is watching what the users are doing on the website. And actually, this was also a website that was quite interactive with a lot of things. In order to avoid that, a lot of companies, what they're doing now, they are hiding those tools behind a different JavaScript that they cannot deactivate because it is the JavaScript that runs also other parts of the website, and without that, I cannot use it. So instead of trying to be more transparent with our users, and to gain more trust with them, we are hiding things in order to take the information anyway. This is the last example of things that we have to think when we are collecting or acquiring data. And this is about the famous or infamous GDPR and cookie settings, etc. Actually, the GDPR in some ways, I feel, is like a bit of a boomerang, because all the users feels that, oh, the GDPR exists, they are asking me about the cookie policies, I just click OK. But clicking OK all the times means that they can track whatever you want. So as a user, it is a bit, it's something that they are cheating you a bit. And the problem is there is no a quick and easy way to say reject all from the first step, because what we are looking at the moment is like a second step. The first step is we are managing the cookies and we are going to use them. Are you okay or not? If not, you have to go to other steps. And this is the second step. And when I arrive here, I also don't have I disagree all. I don't even know if something is already selected or deselected. I remember when I tested this website in particular, and this is the reason, this is my example, even if I selected disagree or agree, nothing changed. So I don't know, I didn't know if I was actually disagreeing or agreeing with something. And also, all the titles about the different sections are not informing me properly of what they means. And if I click this plus button to go more in depth, there are so many information that I just cannot read them. So I got only one option in the end. Disagree all, one click, 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 click. Agree all from the beginning, saying okay. Because as a user, if I don't want to be tracked, but maybe I really want you as a website or a system or service to help you to improve the things. So I want to approve the cookies that actually are helping you. And I am not able to define which they are. So we can design in a better way also this area. And thinking that, again, the request of approving the cookie options is something that a user does in a very quick way. They are already annoyed that they have like a pop-up that is coming up in their website during the navigation. So it is not an easy something that is easy to solve, and we have to be careful when we are designing it. Again, I believe that we can gain a lot more trust from our users if you are trying to put a bit more focus also on those areas that are like edge cases. Oh yeah, we can install a plugin that is managing the cookie policies. Yeah, how the plugin is managing them is something that we should double check as designers, I believe. So when we are collecting that data, we are also responsible for their security. Are we storing them securely? Do we know where they are stored? Do we know how secure is what we are storing? If you are storing my username, my password, are they secure enough? Everything that we are storing in some ways could be hacked. We know it from the news every day. There is something that happened that, it tells us and informs us that some even big company had like a data leak. So is it important to store only what we really need to store and nothing more? Because the more information we have, the worse it be if there is a leak. And also, and this is going back also to Hotjar, if you would do the Hotjar example, if you want the tracking example, we can have data pollution because too many data can be more difficult to be analyzed. I know that a lot of data analysts will tell me that I'm wrong. But actually, again, I believe that if for 1 month we are storing and collecting data and analyze data for only one part of our tool, the checkout for an e-commerce. So how easily find the process to check out and to pay for the products they are buying. If you are analyzing that area, you already filtered. You already have like specific data that are filtered for the actual area that we are trying to analyzing. You don't have to search them inside million of other things, and you know that for that month that was what you were analyzing. Another point against saying the customers that you're analyzing something is that they can be biased and guided to do something or put more focus on what they are doing. Again, if they are trusting you and they're using your service many times, after the first time, they probably will do exactly what they always do. And the last bit is that storing data requires a lot of storage. And actually, this is something we always forgot nowadays. I'm quite old. I remember my big computers at home with my floppy disks. They were big like that. And in order to store the gazillion of data we are storing every day, we are actually using a lot of storages. And a lot of storages means a lot of space. And a lot of storages means a lot of energy. The problem is that because it is in the cloud, it is all virtual, we are not thinking of it too much. Because, yeah, if the storage, the web, the server was in our building, and we start to see that, oh, now we need a second storage to store the data that we have. Oh, now we need a third one. Now we need a fourth one. Maybe this will be something that we're going to start to think a bit more about as a company, not only as designers, but also, again, and this will open a completely different topic, which is more ethical in terms of climate change and those kind of things. Storing data requires a lot of energy. And actually, the data that are stored in the cloud usually are all redundant. So you don't have only one hard drive and server that is storing the data, but you've got more than one, because they have to be redundant, because everything should be available all the time. And also they have to follow the risk management. If one server is down, the other one should be up, etc., etc., etc. So everything is like double, triple, in terms of consume and storage and space, etc. Like, I don't know, if you think about how Bitcoins and other virtual coins are managed, they are one of the most polluting things that are happening now. They are freeing up a lot of things, and they are creating other issues in other areas. So we have to be careful of what we are storing. One point here, if you will follow Jerry McGovern on Twitter, he is doing a lot of tweets about the costs in terms of energetic costs of anything, like your mobile phone, how you're navigating, because he is trying to help people to understand how impact they can have even if they change one thing in a day. Like, for instance, how much it changes if you change your phone every 3 years or every 4 years during your life. I'm sorry, just need a bit of water. So the second part of the examples are about how data are shared. Because how data are shared is another thing that we are not thinking too much. So this is just a news that because of the pandemic, we are all working from home. Actually, we are accepting that our companies are tracking us even more. When we were in the office, they were not tracking us too much. Actually, probably our parents or your grandparents, depends on your age, were fighting not to have any surveillance, the cameras or managers that were able to come to your desk and control what you were doing every second. And now we are actually accepting tracking and control over us just because, again, it is virtual. We don't even realize that it exists. So if we retrieve data, we can share them. And in the way we are sharing them can harm people or can harm or create issues for people. Like, we are storing that I am connecting in the morning at 8 o'clock to work, and I ended up 3:55 instead of 4 o'clock in the afternoon. and someone can come to me and say, oh, you worked 5 minutes less, this is something that we can still thinking and take into consideration. And also we have to think how visible this will be for everyone, because we have and can put people in at least on a balanced way, a balanced place. When I'm talking with my manager, I know exactly what my manager knows about me, and not he knows something more than me about me. It's the same thing that with the GPS app that I was mentioning before. The GPS app knows something, and I will forget it for sure if I don't have something in front of me that remembers me that I was in that shop today. The next example is actually something that I truly believe, that has been done with the best intentions ever. It is done with the idea of helping Black-owned businesses to manage to have more income. The problem is it also generated a lot of fake news and also racial harm to the people and the owners of those businesses, because we have to carefully think about what we are sharing and how, and this can be a very good thing and at the same time a very bad one, or generate a very bad one as a side effect. But the side effect can be very harmful. So we have to really think about it before to release it. Another example of how that I shared, and actually this is something that is happening all the time, and even without us noticing it, is the fact that our data are stored by a company, and then that company is sell the data, or sell actually the company itself, like in this case, to someone else, and the data are going with them. In this case, that was GP practice. So for who's not in the UK, GPs are our healthcare systems, and this is a clinic where our doctors are, and when we are sick, we can go there. So we actually don't realize how many data they have, because our interaction nowadays actually with pandemic is more digital as well. But many times it was not so digital. We were there and we were talking with a doctor, etc. But the interaction we had with the GP, all our health information, etc., were stored as digital data. And in this case, 500,000 patients' data passed from a British, a UK's GP practice to actually a US, even a different country with different laws about data management, etc., health insurance group. And that without anyone knowing it. The patients didn't know about that in advance. What is going to happen with their data when they are acquired by the other company? They don't know. Actually, maybe I don't want anyone to know I had a surgery, and I don't know what the company is going to do with the fact that in my health data that are shared there is my name, my date of birth, my address, and my surgeries, my health information, etc. Are they sharing with anyone else? We don't really know. Actually, I can imagine that a health insurance company wants to double check my status before giving me any insurance. So I don't know. This is something we have to think about, because everything that we are storing can be shared also in this way. This is more than an example. I'm going to put in the chat later on the actual link, so you don't have to copy it now. But I kindly suggest you to watch this TEDx presentation, because who's presenting, who's talking there is telling you how easy could it be to triangulate data to find who you are and where you live and what you do and what you had, and to find that is actually you. If you know my age, if you know my address, and if you know that I had a surgery, your 99% will find me here in this room. And you know that I had a surgery and my name actually is Matteo. So unfortunately, it's quite easy to triangulate data, and the more data is shared and between different companies, and this is where all the also painful information that we are reading nowadays about data. I don't know if you remember Cambridge Analytica a few years ago, etc., start to come into play, because this is a way to triangulate data and use them for other meanings. Also, my personal one. It is actually like something interesting. I remember I was working with as a designer already, and I was in contact with the University of Trento, that is my town in Italy, and they had this prediction tool via Twitter, and they were able to tell you during the sorry, I don't have it in English now because I was thinking about Italy. I'm sorry about that. The presidential elections in the US, actually, they were able to map on a map who was voting for who based on Twitter in the entire New York. And it was quite unbelievable how you could see even like nearly the doors of the different people, and like even the apartments of them. That was quite crazy. So just to finish this part here, auditor et altera pars, this is Latin, this is actually Seneca again, and the other side should all be heard as well. And we are the designers that are listening to the other part, because we are like in the middle. We are like who can try to balance the business requirements that are coming from one side and the user's requirements, the customer's requirement, the people requirements, because we always have to remember that who's on the other side are actually people, can be us, ourselves. We don't want to, if we don't want to do something that, or we don't want to access something that is part of our tool, maybe 99% other people that are out there don't want to share the same thing. So maybe we have to think about it. Before to go to the use case, which is about Sketch, I tried to do quite a research about digital products, digital service that are data conscious, that are placing a statement that they are conscious about data and privacy. And they found quite difficult to find any one of them. And actually, if you've got any other example, please put in the chat or contact me via LinkedIn later on and give me any other information, because I would love to find more. I understand also that is a hard statement to say that I am data conscious. I am conscious about the ethics of the use of data and privacy. What is interesting is that in 99% of the tools are tools that are used to browse and surf the web or to exchange messages. I was not able to find more than that. Firefox, of course, Mozilla is quite focused on privacy, and they also have a big blog about it. I suggest to have a look at. Brave and Vivaldi are other browsers that are very focused on the privacy of the users. There are search engines like Ecosia, DuckDuckGo. I don't know if you know Startpage. Startpage just substitute Google and is searching through Google via their website, so Google don't know who's actually searching. Messengers, we already saw them, Signal and Telegram, Proton email and VPN, etc. So please let me know if you know any other tool or product or service that states that they are data conscious. Someone actually noted, one of my colleagues, that Apple is particularly focused on privacy. And actually, at the beginning, I put Apple here as well. The reason it's not here is just because a few weeks ago, they released a lot of data with the government about personal data with the government, without letting the users decide if they wanted to share it or not. And even if I can agree that the reason they share that and is for a very good cause, because it was against the pedophilia. So it is something that I truly believe into. I believe that someone that is very data conscious could be more careful in the way they are changing and sharing things. Again, this is not not to point the finger against Apple in this case. It's just, I don't know. I felt there was something that was not properly working in that case. Even if, again, I believe that the reason they shared it was for a very good cause. And this is where the ethical dilemma is coming into place all the time. Should we? Shouldn't we? How much? This is hard. This is very, very hard. And so here we are with Sketch. So this year, Sketch, my company, released live collaboration. Before the live collaboration, Sketch was mainly a tool native for Mac that was working offline. But with the release of live collaboration workspaces, Sketch now is a tool that is fully online. So we could decide what we wanted to share, what we wanted to store. In order to be able to make people able to collaborate, like here, you can see Richard is changing something, Helen something else, Angela something else as well. They have to work on the same file at the same time via a cloud environment, because this is the only way you can collaborate between different laptops nowadays. So we needed something on the cloud. And we also needed to store the information, because in order to be able to see Angela moving things, I needed to store her mouse, and I needed also to store the file before anything else. And that opened up a lot of questions for us. And before to arrive to a solution and what we feel that is the correct thing that to do for us, we spent a lot of time internally. The team actually discussed a lot. As a cloud service, we could gather everything. Actually, even with an application, we could have gathered a lot of other things before, because even an application could gather a lot of information. We could take the version of the file, the version of the system, all the menu you clicked, how many times you created something, canceled it, how many times you saved, stored, I don't know, how many people interacted with the file, how many times they logged in, logged out, if they changed anything, etc., etc., etc. But what we didn't want to do, it was just a technology showcase of what we could do. Actually, on the contrary, we wanted to showcase how much we can do without storing data, because our team truly believed in the fact that we don't want to let anyone, nor us, nor anyone that is in contact with us, to go into any kind of surveillance mode. So those are the words from Gloria. Gloria is the project manager that managed the live collaboration project in Sketch. And those are her words. And the most important part is that we don't want to cross this red line, and we don't also want anyone else to being able to cross that red line. And the red line for us is very hard to be organizing and understanding. And we spent a lot of time trying to understand what actually we really needed to store, what actually we really needed to share, and try to remove anything that was not as important in order to be able to collaborate. So what data did we decide to collect? In a few words, not very much. We decided to strictly store only what is required for the system to work. So like the file itself, the versions of the files. And when we save a version of the file, we also are storing the data when the version is stored, and who stored the version. And more or less, that's it. For instance, we are not storing who collaborated on the file. If I am collaborating, and if we go back to the previous slide, we can see it. There are like, you can see the different avatars of the people that are in a live session. After 15 minutes, you are away, you are not working and interacting with the file. We are forgetting you were interacting with the file. And actually, when I hit store, I hit save on my computer, on my laptop, I am creating a snapshot, a version of the file as is, with all the changes coming from everyone else that is interacting. So the Matteo's version is not Matteo's changes, is Matteo's plus Rachel, Dan, Jaime's, Diana's, etc. changes all together in one stored file, in a stored save. So it means that you cannot come back and say, oh, Matteo did that this day, Dan did that day, etc., because the actually stored version are a condensed version of all the changes. And also, we are not storing in any way how long you interacted with the file. You can have worked with the file for 1 minute, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 1 hour, 2 days, etc. But it doesn't change because we are only storing a condensed version when you hit save. We believe that this will create a more balanced interaction between everyone, because the manager cannot control if I am changing something or I'm just interacting or thinking or testing or other things. And I think that put everyone in balance and in the right, and knowing that there's the same thing helps to create a balanced collaboration and interaction between also different layers of people. So how did we share the data we have? So we believe, and I already told you, in the transparency, being as transparent as possible. What I can see is what my manager can see. What I can see is what my colleagues can see. Of course, if a manager can see the data, my data, and also my colleagues' data, I cannot see maybe my colleagues' data because it is not supposed to be so. But I and my manager can see exactly the same thing. I and my colleague can see exactly the same thing that from each other. So the more transparent we are, the better it is. And also the other things that we really know about this environment and this thing is that it is working properly for now and our business now like that. But maybe in the next few months, we realize, oh, we need to store also this information to make it working better. Our aim is to be able to inform the users that we are going to change what we are storing. And also that, again, we are still managing the balance between the things. So if we are storing something more, that will be visible for who needs to view it. And the same information will be visible from all the sites. And this is something that the team, the founders, Peter and Emmanuel, all the C-levels, the entire company truly believe into. This is like our statement internally. This is something that is like part of our culture, and it's something that we agreed together, all together, and we are always and constantly double check with each other if we are following this structure, this idea of being transparent, storing only what we really need, etc., etc. Just to go and to finalize this presentation, a few takeaways. It is very hard to make perfect ethical decisions. Actually, it is more or less impossible because we will always be in the dilemma. Am I doing the right things or am I not? And also, we are always, as designers, in this middle and in this battle between the business needs and the users and people needs, and we have to put them together. And we have to find the right balance. But we can definitely try to control what kind of data we want to gather. This is something we can try to control. we can try to tell and raise our hand up saying, oh, maybe we are storing too much. We are storing like the date of birth of the users, and this is not useful for the system to work. Or we are sharing the date of birth of people to this forum, but maybe this is not important for any other users rather than for us to permit them to log in and to subscribe to the forum because they need to be, I don't know, 18 plus. We can be transparent with our users, and we can tell them when we are tracking them, and we can try to improve and to make best practices about that to gain the trust of our users and help them to understand what we are trying to do. And I'm sure that they will help us. And definitely we can gather only the data when needed, if we need it, when we need it. And we should not share any personal data if this is not strictly necessary. Absolutely, that's mandatory, because anything that is personal should stay personal as soon until it is not mandatory. I don't know, police investigation or something like that. Just to go to an end, the greater part of the progress is the desire to progress. And again, this is the last quote for this presentation, and I truly believe in this statement. And to me, what is important with this presentation is that every one of us is going to ask ourselves every single time we are doing any tiny change or any request, is this necessary? Is this going to harm anyone in any way? Are we storing the right data? Are we sharing the right data? Are we transparent enough? If we are starting to make our questions, I believe that we are already progressing. Thank you all. It was super nice to do this presentation. I really would love to have an interaction with you now. It was a bit longer than was expected. Sorry, I was I couldn't stop to talk today.
Thank you so much, Matteo. Fantastic presentation. If you enjoyed the presentation, put some comments in the chat, and then we can feed those to Matteo later. Thanks so much for all the questions. We've got 3 questions to ask. I think we can carry on until about 7:10, if that's okay with you. UK time.
Absolutely, yes. I'm sorry I was a bit longer.
So we're going to ask these 3 questions that have been asked already. If there's any other questions, there might be a possibility we could fit them in or maybe answer them, type in later. So first one is, what will happen when Google's cookieless browsing gets implemented? How can we protect our data then?
I don't know. I don't have an answer. We cannot use Google if needed. There are other tools that can be used. I'm using all the different tools, trying to protect me as much as I can. And again, the main things to me is to be conscious of what is happening, trying to understand it, try not to accept something just because it is the status quo. The more we are conscious that something can happen, the more we can find ways to share only what we truly believe that is shareable. And actually, we can also come to like a balancing, saying, okay, I really want this I don't know, participate to this website or use this tool, and this tool is requiring me this data. Okay, I'm okay with that, even if I am sharing more than what I usually want. This is something that actually we are doing all the time. If you think, we are using a lot of messaging app because our friends are using them, and maybe even if we know that we don't want to use them, we are still using them, sharing data. Or I don't know, we as designers are always eager and ready to jump on new fancy things that are happening. But I don't know if you remember Clubhouse, how fancy it was a few months ago. Like, as soon as you register to and subscribe to Clubhouse, you shared all your contacts with Clubhouse. I was not on an iPhone because I didn't have an iPhone, and so I couldn't even use it. But I was in their web server because my contacts shared a contact list with Clubhouse, and a lot of things like that. Those are things that we are usually not thinking about as designers. But this is something that we can intervene a bit, we can take decisions. I hope and I believe that we are not going to go into a surveillance world, and we will be always able to do something different, to try to find something different. I don't know, browsing the web via Tor. Tor browser is a browser that is browsing and surfing the web via a VPN. It's creating a VPN for you and is changing your identity continuously. You can change your identity manually as well if you want. It is slower, yes. It is perfect, no. But if you really want to manage what you want to share, that's an option, for instance. I hope it makes sense.
Good, yeah. Just to add something to that, Tech Circus have created an event about Web 3.0, which is about a decentralized web where everybody has sovereignty on their data. So it's quite an interesting one if you're interested in data. I'll put a link in the chat. And if anybody's interested in it, there's all sorts of amazing companies that are trying to change the way the internet works. So it's a very interesting one. So I will put that in the chat, and let's just do it now. There we go. And you can have a little look at some of the talks on there. And some of the companies, even if you don't go to the conference, just Google some of the companies that are speaking and see what they're doing. It's very interesting. Okay, so the next question is, when you delete an account, it's not actually deleted because there is a requirement to keep, for example, sales data for forensic accounting reasons. How do you reconcile with the idea of account deletion?
There are laws. So when we are fulfilling the law, storing data for a certain amount of time, that's understandable because this is actually what is required to us. In Europe, there is this discussion about the rights to be forgotten. I think that this is something that should be taken into consideration as well. So at some point, my data can be deleted. I can decide to delete something. Again, not because I have anything to hide, but just because, I don't know, it doesn't make sense to me that we remember I went to the shop this morning. It is not an important thing. Why it should be stored forever? But also there are things that I believe that people and different persons have the rights to be forgotten. Like, I don't know, after a few months of years, when whatever they did in the past doesn't matter anymore. I don't know, like 10 years ago, we didn't have this problem. 20 years ago. 20 years ago, we didn't have this problem because what happened 10 years before, if we didn't have anything written in paper, was not there anymore. If we didn't have a picture, was not there anymore. Nowadays, everything is there forever. I believe that we've got the rights to be forgotten at some point, and to decide also what can be remembered about us in the digital world. I mean, because I don't know, with my family, with the people that are close to me, they will always know something about me and they will always remember that. But the digital world, the majority of people in the digital world are not as close as they should be in order to be able to remember me. So yeah, I believe that if I want to be remembered, I can stay there forever. But if I want to cancel something, I should be able to do it. And if I cancel something after a short period of time, that should be deleted forever and anonymized at least. But the problem is with anonymization is that you can always go back in some ways. And again, triangulate things. So I would love to be able to cancel things forever.
Thank you, Matteo. This is the final question. It's a long one, so I'll read it out. Digitally, wherever we go, we leave our footprints of data everywhere. For example, easy sign-in by social media credentials. sharing data has become second nature of the users. Rather than directly asking the user that we will be tracking you or storing your info, isn't it better to inform them what value proposition they have by sharing the data with them? So easy sign-in, access to their wish list or a view of preferences, etc., when they visit us again.
There are a lot of things here. The first one is, do we really need to sign in with our social network login because it's easier? This is the first thing. I can always decide to sign in with my personal email address or even a fake email address and a different password. And then this way, at least, is a bit more disconnected with my social media, because it is personally, okay, this is something that helps the user experience, helps people to sign in quickly. But is this something that helps my company? Is this something that helps the value proposition of my company if they sign in with their social network? Because this helps the social network, because they can track that they signed in. So this is something we should inform the users first. And I agree with the second part of the thing that one thing that could be important is, if you are sharing data with us, this is what we are doing with the data. The problem is it is very hard to define and to read them through, because if you read all the legalese things that are there, you are very good at reading them. It is very hard to read through. I am not able to read and to understand all the different things that are there usually. So explain in plain words what you are doing with data, with the data I'm sharing with you, is quite hard. If it is possible to do it, I kindly suggest to do it, of course. My example was about tracking with tracking tools, but this is a different example, and yeah, why not? We can tell the users why we are asking them things. I think that this is another way to be transparent and to gain their trust. 100%.
Thank you so much, Matteo. This is all we've got time for today. But I just want to say thanks for everything. You can join our Discord community if you want to carry on the conversation after this event. We are going to be announcing the winner of the swag bag boxes and the 5 free Sketch licenses in the Discord, so do keep an eye out for it. Once again, I just want to say that I think this is the final part of our 3-part series with Sketch. I want to say a huge thank you to all of the team at Sketch, Matteo, Medit, and Jamie, and everyone else that's been involved in this in the last few weeks. It's been an absolute brilliant session. It's all going to be available on demand, so you can rewatch everything if you want to go back to any of the interesting points raised. And feel free to share them with your network. Anybody that hasn't attended that might find these sessions useful, share them. They're all free to attend. So thank you so much, Matteo. That's all from us today, and hopefully we'll be back again sometime in the future with Sketch. If not, we will definitely see you here for the Tech Circus UX Crunch every single week. That's all from us, and goodbye.
Thank you very much. Bye.